Have you ever had one of those days where writing a single email feels harder than running a marathon? You know it's not that big of a task. You've done harder things before, and yet you sit there frozen, staring at it. If this sounds familiar, you're not lazy, you're not unmotivated. You're dealing with something called task initiation difficulty, and it is one of the most misunderstood parts of living with ADHD. My name is Sara Kelly, and I'm an ADHD coach for late diagnosed, high achieving women. You know, the ones who hold it all together at work, show up for everyone else, and somehow feel like they're still barely managing their own lives behind the scenes. In today's video, I want to walk you through why starting even small tasks can feel like pushing a boulder uphill, what your ADHD brain is actually doing in those stuck moments, and some realistic, doable ways to shift out of the freeze without pretending to be someone that you're not. Let me share something with you just a little bit personal. Before I got diagnosed with ADHD, I thought that I was just really bad at life admin. I could lead a meeting, mentor a colleague, solve a client crisis, but that stupid email that I needed to send, or calling the dentist, I would avoid it like the plague. And I knew that I was capable. Yet I couldn't seem to just start. I remember one morning I had this one linear email to reply to. So I sat down and I opened my laptop and then I froze. My brain felt loud but also blank at the same time, if that makes sense. So I got up to make myself a cup of coffee. I came back and I still couldn't do it. That resulted in the guilt building up. And I just kept thinking to myself, why is this so hard? What the heck is wrong with me? That invisible wall? That's what task initiation difficulty feels like. It has nothing to do with being unmotivated. It's your brain short-circuiting under pressure, even if that pressure is just perceived. So here's what's really going on. ADHD impacts the part of the brain that handles executive function. That includes planning, prioritizing, and initiating tasks. And when something feels overwhelming, uncertain, or emotionally loaded, even if it's just a little, your brain registers it as a threat, and then boom, fight, flight, or freeze kicks in. Now you combine that with time blindness, perfectionism, and maybe a sprinkle of shame, and your nervous system goes, nope, not today. It's like your brain wants a full GPS route with every turn mapped out before it can hit go. But real life rarely works that way, especially with ADHD. So let's shift to what can actually help. Here are 8 strategies that have helped both me and the women I work with. Number 1 is to break it way down. No even smaller than that. If write the report feels impossible, try open the doc. If cleaning the kitchen feels like a mountain, try throw away one paper towel. The point here isn't productivity, it's traction. And tiny steps build momentum. Because sometimes we think if it's not going to be a full task completed, why even bother? But for ADHD brains, starting is a hard part. Once you're in motion, you'll often surprise yourself. And starting small is the absolute best way to bypass that wall. Number 2, use a body cue to jolt the freeze. Count down 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Then move, stand up, stretch, tap your desk. It helps interrupt the stuck loop because your brain loves novelty and physical input. Even small movement can signal, hey, we're doing something now. You can also create a startup stretch, one simple movement you do before any task, like a shoulder roll or a neck stretch. It's a cue, not a command. Number 3, make it feel better to start than to stay stuck. Play a favorite playlist. Light a candle, open the window, pair the task with something sensory that feels nice. Because dopamine is currency for the ADHD brain. The more enjoyable the environment, the more likely you are to begin. And this doesn't mean that you're tricking yourself into loving every task. It means you're tipping the balance a little towards pleasant. Because sometimes we need a little ambiance to override dread. Number 4, say it out loud. I'm just starting the email. And speaking your intention externalizes the task. It makes it real. And sometimes that's enough to bypass the mental fog. If you live alone, talk to your pet or your plant, or even yourself in the mirror. Don't underestimate how grounding it can be to verbalize your plan. Number 5, start in the fog. Don't wait for clarity or focus. Start while it still feels messy, because more often than not, your brain will catch up once you're in motion. And it's okay if your first attempt is clunky. That's how you unstick the gears, because the magic often happens after you begin. Action can create clarity, but it doesn't have to follow it. Number 6, 6, use time tricks, set 5-minute timers, and give yourself permission that you can quit right after, or use a visible countdown clock to create urgency. You're not manipulating yourself here. You're working with your brain's own sense of time, because time is slippery with ADHD. Externalizing it through timers or visual clocks gives your brain something solid to work with. And often 5 minutes leads to 20 without even trying. Number 7, invite a buddy. Ask a friend to body double, even silently over video, or just send a text that you're starting now. We're wired for connection. Sometimes being seen is enough to nudge us into motion. Some clients build focus friend routines. Same time, same check-in every week. It's simple, repeatable, and effective. Plus, you get to celebrate your wins together. Number 8, create a mini ritual. Before starting, try something simple like opening your planner, putting on your glasses, or taking one deep breath. This cues your brain into action mode. Rituals reduce decision fatigue and anchor you to the task. They also give your brain something familiar. That sense of I know what happens next can be incredibly calming when everything else feels uncertain. And now, some real talk. Here's what not to do. Don't shame yourself. That voice saying you should be able to do this is lying. Shame spikes stress, and stress shuts you down. Don't stack your list too high. 3 tiny, clear tasks is plenty. We're not here for the illusion of productivity. We're here for momentum. And my friends, comparison is a thief of joy, so don't compare your energy to other people's, because your brain has a different rhythm. That doesn't make you behind. It makes you a human with a different operating system. One tool I use in coaching is called activation mapping. We track the patterns of when and how you do get started. What time of day are you on your A game? What kind of support, what environment, and build from there. Instead of fighting your brain, we learn its language. Another favorite of mine is scripting the start. Write out the first sentence of the email, the first click you make, the first words that you'll say in a meeting. It removes ambiguity and gives your brain something solid to grab onto. And if you're still stuck, you can ask yourself, what would it look like if I did this at 60%? Because you don't need to operate at full capacity to make meaningful progress. You just need a gentle entry point. Here's one more thing that helps. Track your starts. Keep a little notebook or app where you jot down when and how you begin a task. Not what you finished, just how you got it going. Over time, you'll start to see your own patterns. And that data is super useful. Now, if you've been beating yourself up about not being able to start, I want you to hear this. You're not broken. Your productivity is not tied to your self-worth, and you're running a different kind of brain, and that brain needs a different kind of support. If you'd like to figure out what that would look like in your real life, with your work, your goals, your energy, I'd love to talk. You can book a free discovery call with me in the link below in the description of this video. Because starting doesn't have to feel impossible forever. We can make it feel doable together. Thank you so much for watching. I hope you found this video helpful. Like, share, subscribe, and I will see you in the next one.